Good morning, everyone. I'm Sandeep Sohal. I'm Business Systems Analyst with D365 team, and I will be your cruise director for this training event. We'll start with a brief overview of the CFO report and then demo a few inquiry scenarios using the dashboard. Deputy Auditor Darlene Wiles, she will be joining us later in the call, and she'll have some closing remarks. And as Cheryl mentioned, we'll answer any questions at the end of this session. So CFO Dashboard, it is an interactive Power BI report providing very powerful insights and historical trends, such as revenue and expenditure summaries by various dimension codes, variances from previous years, actuals versus budget, and other budget analysis, trial balance insights. If you have used the open receipts and open purchase order summary report, then you'll be a little familiar with the functionality. But I do want to point out that the CFO dashboard is a little different. We built it differently. This report is embedded in D365 workspace, so you don't have to go to a different link to access the report. And it's connected to the reporting database, so it doesn't have any in-memory storage. So page refresh duration, it's not going to be the flash speed refresh that we get in the open receipts report, because this is trying to fetch data from the database as we are filtering and applying
Where's my
any slicers. So just something to keep in mind that the visuals.
Look what they're doing. Why would I have to be on that list?
Will take a few seconds to load, especially the first initial load, since it's trying to go through so much data and creating these summaries. Currently, we're refreshing the data twice a day, and users can access this report by going from general ledger modules to workspace with financial dimensions. Financial reporting workspace will be available in your general ledger module workspace. Reporting period, you can view data for the last 6 years using this dashboard, so current year plus previous 5 years. Any fiscal and budget users who are involved in revenue expenditure analysis, those who need to look at actuals versus budget, project and cash analysis, some quick insights into accounts payable, you'll find this report pretty useful. Okay, well, let's get into our demo. Can you see my dashboard? Can someone please confirm?
We can.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. So this is general ledger, workspace, financial analysis, all companies with financial dimension filters. Our landing page will be this financial overview page, and we're going to have this standard. Oh, did I just get out of my dashboard? So, we're going to have the standard slicer pane across multiple pages. We'll have this page navigation button, and you'll see there's this page navigation at the bottom of the report too. It's not displaying all of the pages. So you can, sort of like an Excel workbook, you can hit the next page from the bottom arrow here, or you can use the page navigation pane up top. We got financial dimension slicers. Most of them are available on all of the pages. Then a date filter. The default date filter is set for current full year. So when you open the dashboard, it will display the date filter for current year. Actually, let me reset the filters. And then we have these reset filters and apply all slicers button. What it will allow you to do is when you make any selections on slicers or you hit a bar chart or another data point, it will filter the data. But if you want to go to the default state without any filters, you can just hit reset filters and it will clear out any slicers or any filters within the visuals. In order to apply the slicers, so for auditor's office team, when we demoed this 2 weeks ago, as soon as you started applying the slicers, the visual started to refresh. We changed that functionality. Now you'll be able to make the selections first and then hit apply all slicers. That gives you the time to make all of your slicer settings as you want to and refresh the visuals in one go. Otherwise, it was as you were making selection, it's sending like all of these visuals as they're refreshing, it's sending 5 different queries to database to fetch the data to update the visuals as you're making selections. So let's start with general fund. So one of the few things in the financial overview page, we're seeing a breakdown of total expenditures, total operating expenditures, total revenue, total operating revenue. In all the visuals, you're going to see some of these icons pop up as you're hovering over. When you see this question mark, these are helpful tooltips we have added to add additional explanation or any key points to provide more guidance. So expenditures and revenues are actuals for the selected period. So this total expenditures, this is the total actual expenditures. If you're looking at budget analysis, this will be your current year budgets, actuals plus carry forward actuals, and that makes up the total expenditures. We want to start filtering by fund. We have grouped the operating funds, and if you scroll down, there are others. Everything else is in the others category. In all of these filters, you can search by the code or the description of that code itself. So I'm going to go general fund, and as soon as I make my selection, this apply all slicers button highlights, letting me know that I've made a selection and I need to apply it, and the visuals are not reflecting what I've selected currently. So I'm going to select the sub fund, apply my slicers. All of my visuals have refreshed. So now we're looking at the total expenditures for general fund. If you hover over to a visual and you see these this bar icon, this is going to be available on all visuals, letting you know what filters and slicers have been applied to that particular visual. So right now we're seeing a date filter, filtering for current year, operating fund, fund 1000, and general fund sub-fund. Accounts payable at glance. So for general fund, to date, we have paid about 17,000 vendors, about $178 million in invoice amount. Hit the slicer, you'll see that same slicers have been applied to this visual. These 2 bar charts in financial overview, you're going to see these help tooltip, and it's letting us know that the visual will only display values for the full current year, even if the date rate is changed to partial current year or a previous year. And if we hover over this filter, we're going to see this date looks different. This is filtering for the current year. Everything else is applied. And if I change my filter, date filter, it's letting me know you made a change. Apply to selections. And it's refreshing all other visuals, but that does not impact these two bar charts because we've blocked that infraction from happening. We want our users to see sort of a summary of their how their actuals and budgets are holding up for revenues and expenditures. From here, on different visuals data points, you'll be able to see a summary of what makes up that total. So we're looking at net balance for top 5 funds, but we have already filtered for one fund. So we're getting we're seeing a positive net balance of $9.2 million in general fund, and it's giving you a breakdown of what the revenue for this selected period and based on the selection is, what the expenditures are. And you have drill through option to go from expenditures to revenue, income statement, of funding source. We'll explore the expenditure and revenue detailed drill through on a different selection. Currently, I want to demo the actuals versus budget and actuals versus budget plus prior year comparison. So I've applied my slicers. These slicers are the financial dimension slicers are synced throughout the pages. So if you make a filter for general fund, I could go to any different page and the setting will stay the date, the fund, subfund slicer will carry over. The exception is the cash appropriation and project analysis, because those are current year, the cash calculations and your project budget details, those need to be in current year. So we've set the date filter on those to default for just current year, but we've added further insights, which we'll explore once we get to that demo. So let's look at, you could either hover over a data point or you could right click and it will give you the option to drill through. So we want to go to actuals versus budget. And it takes us to an actuals versus budget page. We'll see the date filter carried over, fund and subfund carried over. Now on this table, we're going to see a different set of icons. There's a tooltip right here. It's telling us there's a hierarchy on rows and columns, so you can drill down on rows by object class and then main account. And for the columns, you can go from year to quarter and then month. And then actuals versus budget include carry forward actuals and carry forward budget. And if you're comparing this to budget analysis and inquiry, it will be your current year budget actuals plus carry forward actuals, and for budget it's current year revised budget and carry forward budget. And then you got this drill on rows and columns. Currently we are on rows, which is object class and main account. We are displaying both of those right here, and I see the icon for drill up is enabled. That's because I'm on the lowest level of hierarchy. I'm already displaying that. So if we want to see just the object class, we can click on the drill up feature and do that. And if you look at the slicer pane, the filters carry over. I have additional filters applied to the visual, and it's showing those up too. So now let's look at actuals versus budget. So we've got our object class, actuals to date, what our expenditures have been, what was budgeted, and the variance for these various main accounts. Let's go back. I was very quick going back. I'll explain that. So this little it will take you to whatever page you were at when you made the selection. For this visual itself, it's going to be the financial overview. One of the things on this one I want to show is we have additional options to export data, show as a table, spotlight, get insights, and additional sorting options. And you can see this actually is calculating a lot of different calculations at the moment. That's why it's taking this much time. That's about 9-10 different columns are being calculated on different level of financial dimensions. Because this report is embedded in D365, you will have the option to export data. And you get the three options to pick from. The data with current layout, this will only be available for two type of visuals, and I'll point those out when we're looking at those. And the summarized data, this is my favorite option, especially the Excel file format, because this actually with the export, it will add another row with all the filters and slicers that have been enabled, whatever that data point was filtering for. So you don't have to try to remember or write it down. It will be right there for you. And then the underlying data set, I would recommend not using this option because this takes a lot longer, as it is trying to get all the raw data that has been used to calculate the visuals. The workaround for that would be select a data point, choose the drill through to revenue or expenditure details, and we'll demo those in a different selection. So I'm gonna get out of my icons. What else is here? We also have a focus mode icon right here. So if you were looking at a table and you want to see it more zoomed in, especially when you're looking at bar charts or something, you can go to the focus mode and zoom into that view. In order to go back, click on this back to report button. Do not click this back button, because I've done so, and it gets me out of my report and I have to go back in and get to where I am at. So if you got into focus mode, go click the back to report and it will bring you back to the report. So here we've got account type, object class, main account on rows, and then drill down on columns by year, quarter, and month. Currently, we are actually seeing all three hierarchy levels of rows. So we got our revenues, which are revenue and expenditures, which are our account type, then object classes, and then main accounts. Actuals, we've seen this in actuals versus budget. What this is adding is that this is the 100% of your revenue. And then in the breakdown, we can see what makes up that revenue. So income taxes for general fund, that's 74% of the actual revenue. If we're looking at expenditures are the total expenditures for year to date. They're about 99% of the revenue. So general budget actually has been doing pretty good. What was budgeted? And then this breakdown is general fund budget. The expenditures were budgeted for 106% of the revenue. What are actuals for last year were? So actual revenue last year at this point, year to date, was less than $1 million. So we've already surpassed that. Expenditures, it was 987 million, and we have surpassed that by almost $40 million. Well, let's get back to our financial overview page. I'm going to reset filters and pick a different, let's select Department 59. We're going to look at Fund 265, my slicer. I'm going to switch to Revenue Insights page, so this will get a chance. All right, so as the queries are getting updated, we'll see these visuals getting updated. This is our Revenue Insights, Revenue Overview. So we're filtering for Department 59. If you can hover over on a visual and see the filters and details. 59, we're looking at Fund 265, total revenue for the full year is close to 60 million. Same period last year, the revenue was 70 million. The variance is about negative 10 million, which is about 15%. Now, this is a little skewed because we've still got 40 more days to go in this year, so this variance is a little skewed because of that. This is giving us a breakdown of the revenue by object class. If you hover over the pies, it will tell you what percentage. So shared revenue makes up about 74% of revenue for Department 59, Fund 265. You get this nice little trend of how the revenue this year is doing versus revenue last year. So total revenue, the dark line, this is for a current date, which is for this year, and this teal line, it is total revenue for prior year. So we're seeing these, we can sort of start to see a trend that they have these high points every quarter. So they'll be expecting big chunk of revenue end of December. But we want to look at the state as of today. So I'm going to change the date, apply my slicers. You'll see this little icon. This is refreshed. On the revenue insights and expenditure insights, this main account table is what takes a little longer. And you can see how many calculations and additional formatting has been done on this table. So looking at year to date, the revenue is about 2 million less than what it was last year. And sort of, let's look at our main account detail and see if, and from here, we can see the biggest change is here, the $3 million in gas line tax. So if you can either right click, drill through, and we're looking at revenue. So we want to look at the revenue details for that particular main account. Drill throughs, it is applying all of the filters that have been applied to the page and trying to get to that exact data point that we have selected. So we can see that each month they get almost $3.5 million. We're seeing deposits still October, so November 1. Once it's the November one that hasn't been either received or posted, hence the variance of $2 million. The ones that money hits, they'll actually surpass their last year revenue for November. Now let's look at our, we're gonna keep these filters. How about we'll look at overall revenue. No fun. So this is just Department 59. It's updating the visuals. Okay. year to date, Department 59 has made 333 million in revenue, and you can see overall their revenues actually increased from last year. Let's look at income statement by funding source for department. Our department filter carried over, our date filter carried over. And on here, our hierarchy is going to be account type, fund, object class, and main account. So currently we're seeing the account type revenue, and then we're seeing all the different funds listed under Department 59, what their actual is year to date, what the actuals were for last year for this date range, and what the variance is. You can drill down if you wanted to see this by quarter. We know we have a drill through hierarchy on columns for that. You could go columns, and currently we're only viewing here. So I'm gonna we've got two options. You can either expand to the next level. So currently we're seeing the full year. If we expand to the full level, it will show us actuals broken down by quarter. If you go expand all down to one level, by one level, what it will do is it will keep the year year row here and add a breakdown by year and the quarter. So let's do that. Oh, I'm on rows. So it's gonna expand to object class, fund and object class first. Okay, let's switch to columns. How about we just go to the next level of hierarchy so we can see both. So we're seeing a breakdown of account type, starting with revenue, and then our funds and object classes, and then we're getting a breakdown of what our actuals versus last year and variances quarter by quarter. You can scroll if you want, or you can go to focus mode and see the details here. Okay, so let's move, when I reset my filters, let's move to cash appropriations. Cash appropriations has been, this is created based on our Michelle's Excel sheet, which is pretty helpful around calculating how to get a better understanding of cash for funds and projects, the unappropriated cash or cash deficit. Look at your available appropriations to see what's available before you put in a request for transfer. Let's filter it, and you can see we've got our financial dimension filters, but not all of them, because not all were needed for cash appropriations analysis. So we've only put the three main ones in here. I'll search by project. It should start narrowing down the list. Okay, there it is. I'll make my selection. If you select, if you search and want to add multiple projects, all you gotta do is hold the control key and make your selections, and you'll have the ability to select multiple options within a slicer. Date range, I'm not gonna change anything here because this is year to date. Even if you try to go back, you will not see the option there. So looking at this project, we can see the current cash, and we've given a little cheat sheet of how these calculations came to be. So trial balance, closing balance on main account, 10001. That's your current cash appropriations granted, no expenditures to date, outstanding encumbrances of 255, and available appropriation. This is your available budget of $196,000. So there are available appropriations and there is no cash deficit on this project. So a transfer of cash, an appropriation can be done up to this amount. If department wanted to transfer 200,000 out of this project, they don't have that available. They'll likely need to cancel some encumbrances to make up for that. So this is kind of, getting you to start on that instead of once it gets to auditor's office and they're like, okay, you don't have enough of available appropriations, and then departments are trying to figure out how to cancel, how much they need to cancel. So this is something you could look at before you start that process. Now, the data, because the data is being refreshed only twice a day, this calculation will not be true in real time. But if you're looking at the beginning of the day, this is what we had available as of this morning. Now let's look at different funds. I'm going to hit reset filters. And we're going to go look for our fund. You can choose to type or search. I know the fund I want to demonstrate it's right near the top, so I'm not gonna search for it. Now we're applying filter for fund. It should display any sub-fund projects broken down by that fund. When we filter for one single project, we were seeing just one line. Now we're seeing a list of all the projects under this grant right here. And so this is list of grants in this fund, and we're seeing the amount of cash that will be needed to cover what has been approved year to date, since most of these are they have a cash deficit except for this one. We're gonna head over to our project analysis now. So you could choose to carry the filters over. I sometimes tend to reset them. Okay. So project analysis, we've got fund, sub-fund project dimension that we were seeing in cash appropriation, but we've also added department number for you, but most useful will be these filters down here. Got our date filter. If you try to go back, it will not let you go back because we've set a restriction for everything to be displayed for current year except this visual right here. So let's pick up a project. And there's this little circling icon telling me it was loading. So I'm going to make my selection, apply slicers, and the visuals are going to refresh based on the selections I've made. So current expenditures, these are card visuals. You can call them tile visuals. I call them card visuals. We're seeing a breakdown of current year expenditures, what the total expenditures have been for this project over the last 6 years, current year revenue, total year revenue over the last 6 years, current year allocated budget, current year available budget, total cash. There's a tooltip right there. So if you're comparing this against budget inquiry, again, expenditures are actuals for current year's budget plus carry forward. Allocated budget is your revised budget plus carry forward budget. available budget is your remaining budget plus carry forward remaining budget. And then current year total cash. This is coming from your cash appropriations table, the first column, cash, the closing balance on main account 10001. That's your current cash available for this project. And then we're seeing a breakdown of current year revenue and expenditures by fund, subfund, project. So we've broken down in case there are multiple funds and a department wants to look at details for those instead of having to filter by funds, they'll get a nice little summary right here. So this is one of those visuals where if it's you need to expand, go to focus mode so you can get a better view of your charts. If we want to look at, let's see, fiscal year 2024 total expenditures, let's look and see what makes up those expenditures. Okay, we're seeing object class, the date, posted date of transaction type. These are invoices, the main accounts, what the financial dimension is, the actual amounts posted, and the voucher number. So if you have to do further analysis, you could just right click, copy the value, copy this voucher number, put it in your D365 voucher inquiry or invoice journal, wherever you want to search additional details on what this particular invoice was for, and you can get to that. Now let's look at accounts payable activity for this particular project. Now we're back to our pretty standard slicer pane. We're seeing division, fund, subfund. We see one additional filter for vendors here. So for this project, the date slicer is on there, the project slicer carried over on all of the visuals. We paid about $27 million in invoices for this project. List of our vendors and the invoice amounts, the total invoice amounts paid for each vendors, and the number of invoice lines. Who the top 10 vendors are for this project. So Strasser Paving, they're clearly top of everything, $17 million. Top 10 procurement categories. What type of procurement activity are we doing? If you're looking at a project or a vendor, it will be pretty helpful to see that. And then you've got this trend of invoice payments, and there is a drill down by year, quarter, and month. We're currently looking at month. We can see it started off pretty slow, activity picked up, and then you can see the highest point was October. If you want to look at the details, you could actually, if you click on this data point, it will start refreshing all the visuals, filtering for October payments only. So now if we look at this filter, it will say there is a date filter, and then there is a filter included for the month of October.
And Sandeep, my apologies for the interruption. This is just a reminder you have about 20 minutes left in the session.
Perfect, thank you. And if you want to look at additional details, you can look at expenditures, revenue details, and accounts payable. We are going to switch and see accounts payable activity for a grant. Now, I've already made one selection. If I want to see both, a summary of both of these, I could hit Control and make the selection. I actually only want to see the grant, so I'm just going to click, and it will erase the previous selection. And I'll apply my slicers, and it will refresh all these visuals calculations for this grant. And so good. You can see there like each quarter there's a high point we're making either we're paying a lot of invoices or just huge number of the invoice amounts. List of all the vendors who we have paid for during this time period for that grant. If we're looking at it, I still have my October selection selected. I could just click in here and it will remove the October selection, and then we're seeing the full year for this grant and accounts payable activity. Let's look at 12-month trend for income statement for this grant, which will be your revenue and expenditures over the last 12 months. Our financial dimensional slicers are standard carried over. Date slicer is different. You'll see this is from November 2023 to today. So if you look at this page tomorrow, it will be November 21. So this is auto set to 12 months from last 12 months from today's date. We do have a hierarchy here. Let's see. Account type, object class, main account. And then we're seeing a breakdown by quarter. So if you want to expand or you want to see additional details, you want to add main accounts, but keep all of these, we'll expand all down one level in hierarchy. And our visual is refreshing. And we get more details on the income statement trend, what the expenditures and the revenues on this grant looked like for last 12 months. And if we switch to expenditures, 3 years trend, all of our, well, we've only made selection for the project. Our date slicer has changed. On this page, it is set for the 3 years, the current year plus last previous two years. This grant does not have any activity for the year of 2022. So we're seeing a breakdown of 2023 and 2024. Same level of hierarchy, object class and main account. If you wanted to just view your object classes, drill up. And if you need to export, again, click on more, get to export data. When you see this financial reporting type visual, you won't be able to drill through anywhere. So if you want to see additional details and get to vouchers or anything, we're looking at expenditures. So let's switch to expenditures insights. Filters carry over, and then from here, we will be able to drill through if you want to look at what makes up all of this O1 expenditure. If you select a different slice of the pie, there is visual interaction between this visual. So all of these visuals are updating based on, because I'm looking at purchase services object class 03. So we're gonna see that filter applied everywhere on different visuals, and then you can drill through to if it's the main account you're looking at, whatever data point you're looking at, you can go from there. Oh, that's it. That's what I had for the demo. Let's see what we got next. So in this PowerPoint slide, these are just additional notes on what we have seen in the demo. the slicer pane, the elements of slicer pane, what those elements do, the synced settings of financial dimension slicers, the date slicers, how cash appropriations, project analysis, those are set to current year. That way, you kind of, if you have to go see why the date slicer has changed, you'll know that it is set by default. We've also provided you guys with a visual icon guide to kind of keep what these visual icons do and where to access them. Also the notes that we discussed on export options. This is what I was talking about. When you use the summarized data in Excel format, you'll get this additional row telling you what slicers and filters have been applied. Okay, let's see if Darlene is available. I am done with demo. Once we hear from Darlene, we'll address any questions we might have gotten.
Hi, Sandeep. I'm here. Thank you. I apologize to everybody for being late. I had another meeting, but I want to thank you all for joining today. As you can tell, Sandeep's put a ton of work into this, these dashboards. Out of the box from D365, these are new, but we're also not public sector specific at all. So all of the dashboards that came with D365 had to be reworked. So as you can tell, Sandeep and the D365 team have put a lot of time and effort into putting these together for you. As you work through these, we'll have opportunities for you to provide some feedback and maybe additional things you'd like to see in the future. But if there's things about these dashboards that you'd like to add to them or change about them, we can certainly consider that in the future. As you all know, the kind of the reporting in D365 has been somewhat limited to list pages and inquiries and those kinds of things. So this is really an opportunity to pull information together for you, especially as it relates to cash balances and grants and project information, where you want to see both revenues and expenses on the same in the same screen or the same window, same dashboard. So hopefully you'll find lots of ways to use these, and we look forward to hearing back from you as you work with them to see what you think and to maybe improve them in the future. Any questions that people want to ask? How are we going to handle that, Sandeep? Or can people unmute and ask questions?
Sure. I do see a question on how to navigate. So this will be general ledger, workspace. I have different options, but based on your permission, you might only see one workspace. So we're going from general ledger modules, workspace, and then this financial analysis, all companies, financial dimension filter.
I have a hard time going back and finding that. So just favorite that and it'll show up on your favorites right away.
Yeah, if you clicked on it, it will be in your recents. Also, if you've forgotten, click favorite that. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can see if there's anything in the comments. Feel free to unmute if you're gonna ask something.
So Sandeep, there is a question that says, is there a way to see the ALEs for all revenue deposits?
It will show you the voucher number. So it will take you to the voucher transaction related to that ALE. So you can copy that voucher number and look that up in voucher inquiry and then get to the original document. On this report, the drill through the last level you can get to is the voucher number.
And Darlene, I hesitate to put you on the spot, so I apologize for that. But would you expand just a little bit on maybe how you see departments and divisions using this? Maybe some targeted examples or inquiries that you guys commonly get that they can now address for themselves?
Yeah, I think there's an unencumbered cash balance. I know when people do legislation, they need to know how much cash they have in their individual projects or grants. Grants and project reporting, I think this is a huge step forward in that you can look at it over different periods of time, and you can look at the revenues and the expenses in the same dashboard. And then drill in as you needed. If you're, answering inquiries about, who we paid on a certain project or who we paid on a certain grant, you can drill into that accounts payable dashboard and see that information. I mean, as we were putting these together, we were considering, and we brought in, kind of the A&O team and Tom and Cheryl and, everybody who gets questions about where to find information. So that's where we kind of started with, what information do we need to present here? And we know that there's going to be things, additional things that people want to see or, things that they'd like to see in a different way. So, this is just the first step in putting these out there. And, if you find ones that you find particularly useful, you could share that with us so we could share it with other finance officers. And if you find things that you'd like us to change up or to expand, certainly share that with us, and we can try to do that as well. Sandeep is now an expert in Power BI, so she can probably make it happen if it's available in the system for us to access.
Yeah, and as Darlene mentioned, we will be collecting feedback, so I encourage everyone on the call to give it a try. Jot down what you like, what you don't like. We won't be offended. I love Darlene's idea about how are you using it so that we could share that with other individuals who might benefit from how you're using it as well. Just kind of make notes of all of that. We'll give you guys some time to use it, get acquainted with it, get familiar with, using all the different options that Sandeep demoed today, and then we'll seek some feedback as well. There are no additional questions in the chat. Please feel free to add them there, or if you want to come off mute and ask any final questions, that would be great. All right. So Sandeep, I'm not seeing any additional questions. If you have any closing remarks, we can give everybody a few minutes back of their day.
No, I think we're good. If as you guys start using this report, you need some clarification or something else, how to do this, how to look this up, feel free to reach out to us. The training video will be available, and so will be the presentation slides. So let us know if you need additional help on navigating with this report. That's all. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.